Hello, welcome back. This is Wash Network, and I am Farayola Gideon. Like I told us in the last episode, that was just the part one of my story into drug addiction, and I promised that I was going to give us a part two of the story, and hopefully, we're going to conclude in this episode my journey into drug addiction. Then we'll start the story of my journey, to freedom. Praise the Lord. Like I said in the last episode, it became worse. I started becoming uninterested in school. My grades started dropping. I started having a lot of carryovers. There was something that happened one time with a lecturer, Dr. Izu. He had given me, because I was a course rep, I was a class rep, he had given me his books to sell, and I did, I sold everything, but I didn't give him complete money. I think I gave him half of the money. It almost landed me in police station, So those little kind of things, it began to drop my credibility. People started not to trust me much, and some people, I don't know, it's just God's grace that most people still, were still friends with me, or as it were, still doing things with me. Most people are very careful when it comes to doing business with me that has to do with money, because any little money I have, any little chance I have, I use the money to buy the same drugs, and it continued in that downward, I remember, I think I was in 300 level. We had an exam, and I had gone to the exam hall. And when I saw the paper we were writing, I was like, is this the paper we are writing? This to show you how unserious I became with school. Part of the people that really suffered this thing were my sisters. I remember one time I had to lie that I misplaced someone's laptop. We connived with a friend to take me to police station so that the police people will call her. Yes, that's how bad it became. So they had to now settle me 90,000. I gave him his own share, and the rest, we blew it on drugs, smokes, and whatever. I remember that same sister because I stay with her whenever I come back for break to Abuja. She works with one international agency in Abuja here. I remember one morning we were supposed to drop her off at the office and then run some errands and do our own things. I and my cousin. I remember that morning I took way more than I should have taken. And then on our way, driving off from Buhari to town, I threw up inside the car, and I was the one driving. She had to call her office to tell them that her child is not feeling fine. She's going to be like an hour late. So I told her, no, I can manage, it's nothing, this and that. I knew what was going on, but they didn't know. And that is the bad thing about this particular kind of drugs. People really don't know you are high. They just know something is wrong, but they can't pinpoint what the challenge is. It is except if you have traveled that road, when you see somebody that is under that influence, you may be able to detect, but most time you may not be able to say this is what is wrong with this person. By the grace of God, by the mercies of God, I was able to still graduate with a 2-2, and went for service. It didn't stop. The addiction didn't stop. It continued even in my service year. I was living more like, I don't know how to put it. You are looking forward to Alawi so that you can get drugs. I remember when I was in the camp, Emure Camp Ekiti, at some point the drugs I had on me, was exhausted. So I needed to get more. Then I started looking for a way to just go to town. I know that, okay, by the time I entered Ado, I'll be able to get, and I was able to come to to town. I can't remember what it was that they wanted to go do in town. I shall follow the boss, the official boss of the camp, to town. So they went to the bank road, and me, I took bike from there to go to where a friend. Now, let me say this. There's a way these principalities work when it comes to addiction. If you go to a new place and you don't know anywhere, as if by the leading of that principality, you'll be able to find where they sell those things. Because I remember a friend of mine, not a friend, we graduated from the same school. He doesn't know anywhere in Ekiti, but he went to town and was able to get where they sell these things. And so he was the one I asked, because he gave me some supplies. He was the one that I asked. He now told me that I should go to a place in Ekiti. So when I got there, I met those guys, and they gave me very few. So I was like, I need more. They're like, if you need more, you go to so place. And in that area they asked me to go to, there were many pharmacies, but I told the bike man to take me to a pharmacy in this place, you know. And when I got, in fact, he took me exactly to the shop that these guys sell this thing, because it's not every pharmacy that sells, and it's not every chemist that sells, and even the chemists that sell, it's not all of them that will sell to you. And so when I got there, the first thing I did was like, give me 200 for one card. When I say give me 200 one card, they know this one knows what he's saying, because if he had gone and say give me tramadol, they will not even, they will tell you they don't sell, you know. So I just say give me 200 one card, and the man sold. So since that day that he marked my face, anytime I go, in fact, it got to a point that Baba, so money no dey my hand, give me, you know, when I come next I will augment, and he's willing to, you know. And that is how my life was, as it were, wasting away. You know, I became the president of my CDS. It didn't do me much, because at first they thought that this guy is very calm and whatnot, but they found out that this guy is empty. And what made me empty was not that I'm really empty, it was the addiction that really crippled my abilities and the things I could do. Like I've said, he has engraced me when it comes to the work of my hands, you know. But all those didn't matter, because I couldn't really function well. I couldn't perform those things to even get a life, you know. And even the PPA that I was initially posted to, I couldn't cope, you know. I had to change my PPA. God will bless Mommy Oshotokun, I think that's her name. She's really a mother. She knew something was wrong, but she didn't know what it was. And I believe she was trusting God that something was going to change. God bless that woman. I'm going to tell you a story of what she did after I was delivered. You know, she said something, but that story is going to come when I tell us the story of my, you know, journey back to freedom and redemption. So this is my story, you know, into drug addiction. And in the next episode, I'm going to tell us my story into how I became free, or my journey into freedom and redemption. I don't want to bore us with too much story, but in the long run, as this channel progresses, like I said, we're going to have discussions, and maybe on those discussions now, when we have guests, you know, and the like, we'll be able to explore more, because there are many details I didn't tell us. To be addicted for close to 7 years and you tell the story in barely 20 minutes is really not going to capture everything. There are a lot of things that happened in between.